This is Word of the Day podcast program. I am your host, Dan Hamman. Thank you for joining me on this podcast where I desire to provide an inspirational message of hope, truth, and life through Scripture.
Matthew 6, verses 1 through 4. Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men, to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound a trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory from men. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. But when you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, that your charitable deed may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. There are so many times I have seen on social media individuals who are out and about doing good deeds. Doing good deeds is definitely something that we as Christians need to do. We need to look at the intent of the heart. Is it to get a large mass of followers to appreciate what you do, where you may be giving a homeless man $10, $50, $100, and you want to make sure that your face is on that video, and then you capture that man in the background with a smile on his face. As Jesus says in this passage, you do good deeds before men to be seen by them. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, you receive your reward just from gaining that public announcement. But as Jesus continues on, we need to do our deeds not with such pride in our hearts, but with humility. Doing random acts of kindness, not to get the reaction of those who are in earshot or eyesight of what you're doing, but just to be a blessing to someone else, to be that light that Jesus is calling us to be in this dark world. That's what it needs to be about. There are times when I have done a random act of kindness, paid for the car behind me if I knew I could afford it. I've done that. But I don't sit there and wait to see what their reaction is. We don't need to know their story all the time. We don't need to see what they do to the next person behind them. It's just knowing that you've brightened someone else's day. I've also helped pay for someone's items at the grocery store. Not to make a public announcement about it, but just coming up behind the individual. The individual looked at me like, sorry, I don't know what else to do. Just casually walking up and just silently tell the clerk, I'll pay for it. There does not need to be some big announcement. There doesn't need to be a show at all. Just do random acts of kindness out of the kindness of your heart. Social media has us in this tizzy too. We gotta do random acts of kindness. I gotta show how good of a person I am. And I need to get all these followers to see how good of a person I am. Which on that social media page, yeah, they look like they're a good person. But how do they look? How do they act when they have their own camera off? That's not for me to judge. That's for God to judge. We may look at ourselves. Am I doing this just to get likes? Am I doing this just to show how good of a person I am? Let your light so shine before man that God will use that light. Allow God to use you, His manner, and His time. If you want to plan out a random act of kindness in the life of someone, that's great, but I encourage you. It needs to be prayed about first. Make sure that the intent is with clear motive and with not just good intentions, but God intention. Because that random act of kindness as Christians may be a person that you not just give money to or buy them a meal. There's something greater when Christians do random acts of kindness. We need to share the gospel message as well. And share it in love. Share the truth of Jesus Christ, what He did on that cross for our sins. Share the message of God's love. I hope that this podcast blesses you today. Go out, do random acts of kindness for strangers, for your loved ones, for friends. Be the light of Christ in this dark world, but do it with God intentions, that the charitable deed may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will Himself reward you openly.
If you have enjoyed this program, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. If you have a biblical topic that you would like me to discuss, please send me a comment. This has been Word of the Day with Dan Hamman. I want to thank you for joining me on this podcast.